What is the GMAT score that you should have at ISB? If you're putting up your application to ISB, you can put up your application through either the GMAT Focus Edition scores, the GMAT Classic scores, or through the GRE scores. So when it comes to the GMAT scores at ISB, what is a good score? What are the scores that ISB is looking for? Another huge update for ISB applicants in 2025 is the GMAT Focus Edition scores. So, what is the GMAT score that ISB looks for? Again, there is no minimum score that ISB looks for. However, the past year data is now available. So, you have benchmarks to look at your GMAT score vis-a-vis the rest of the batch which has been admitted in the last years. And in terms of the GMAT Focus Edition score, the updates are as follows. In terms of verbally, the total score range that was admitted at ISB was around 645 to 745. And the total score range which was accepted by ISB for the GMAT Focus Edition was around 645 to 745. However, the middle 80% range of the GMAT Focus Edition scores ranges from 655 to 715. So if you want to look at, whether your score is a good score and whether you have a competitive GMAT score, if that is the criteria alone, then this is a right benchmark for you to look at. In terms of verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, as well as data insights, make sure that you have a balanced score that will put up a strong representation for you. Now, coming to the GMAT Classic scores. If you are someone who still has a GMAT Classic score which is valid, you can put up your application to ISB. And for that, the score range admitted to ISB on terms of the GMAT Classic scores has been 620 to 780 in the previous years. The middle 80% range is from 690 to 750, with the median being 720. So 720 remains, the gold standard in terms of the benchmarking of your GMAT score for I. Well, the benchmarks for GRE scores are also available now in terms of if you're someone who's writing the GRE score for submitting your application to ISB, look at a median verbal of around 161 and a median quant score of around 169. The range for the GRE verbal scores which have been admitted in the past are 153 to 169, with the middle 80% being 157 to 165. This is on the verbal score for GRE. And in terms of the quant scores, the range has been 159 to 170. This is the complete range of scores admitted to ISB. And the middle 80% range is around 165 to 170. So, if you look at a good score for the GRE applicants to apply to ISB, then it is definitely a 325 plus. Once again, I will reiterate that when you're writing the GMAT or the GRE for ISB, please make sure that you're writing the test center scores only. ISB does not accept the online scores, and there is no way that you can make it at par with the. What is a valid GMAT or a GRE score for ISB? So GMAT or GRE scores are valid for 5 years. ISB only accept the test center scores versions of the test center scores, either it is the GMAT or GRE, and no online tests or at home scores will be accepted, whether it is the GMAT Focus Edition, the Classic Edition, or the GRE scores. However, for a lot of Indian schools, you will see that the online test scores are not valid now. What are the ISB rankings like? ISB is amongst the leaders in terms of the Indian business schools which are represented in international rankings.